The sixth chakra, the Ajna Chakra, is at the eyebrow center. It's the seat of the mind, and it's the seat of the mind in the waking state, and so our conscious awareness is directed from this center. In the physical body, it's interesting to realize that the pituitary and pineal glands are both in the field of the Ajna Chakra. And the word Ajna means command center. The conscious mind directs the activities and coordinates the input of the senses as well. And then we realize the pituitary gland directs the other activities in the body from an unconscious level. So the pituitary gland sends signals to the adrenal glands, for example, when we experience something frightening or threatening in the world around us. So in that way, the pituitary gland is a master gland. It's the command center for those kind of activities going on, coordinates all of those. The conscious mind and our thinking process coordinates, hopefully, our activities. So there's a sense of this being the command center at the eyebrow center, and the structures in the brain help us to implement and act on the perceptions that are coming in. So there's coordination, there's high-level direction. It's the CEO of what's going on. It's also interesting to realize the pituitary gland or the Ajna center is in some ways a mind-body connection. When we see something frightening, that's a perception, a brainwave, and the pituitary gland converts that into chemistry. So the mental becomes the physical through this boundary, the pituitary gland acting with its hormones to direct the other glands. So if we are able to shape and direct and balance the functionings at this center, it has a profound effect elsewhere through the whole body. And particularly there's been a lot of emphasis or awareness on the stress response, which of course starts right here at the perception level in the high level command center, and then translates into global problems throughout the whole body, and ends up with a breakdown of all different systems if the stress is not appropriately managed or if it's long term. So part of the value of our yoga practice is being able to control that kind of response by the practices of yoga. It also, in addition to just creating sort of a physical balance, allows us to create a mental balance that opens a gateway into the deeper recesses of mind. So it becomes a very important center for spiritual practice as well. It does that by working not only with the nervous system, and we'll talk about a practice that helps to work with to balance the nervous system, but also by recognizing the forces that shape our experience in the body and in the embodied world. The yoga science recognizes this as the sun and the moon dominating, being two forces that are rising and setting in our own inner world, but of course also in the outer world. And the pineal gland, which is in the field of the Ajna Chakra, is related to this, it's sensitive to light. So it is also this kind of night-day regulator, and in the yogic world, in the subtle body, that plays out metaphorically as the sun and moon, and in the energetic body as the dominance and switching from one to the other of two important nadis that are associated with the sun and moon. Ida and Pingala are the names. So our practices, there's an oscillation of one of the actions of one to the other, and to be able to attenuate that so that there's an appropriate response to night and day, appropriate response to the need for both resting and for being active, the need to be receptive and the need to be active or aggressive, the need for rest, the need for cooling, the heating and cooling, the plus, the minus, the male, the female. All of those kind of dichotomies are represented in this alternating between the sun and moon And that swing goes on in us as well. So balancing that is a way of creating harmony and appropriate response in every aspect of our being. But it also gives us the opportunity to transcend the complete absorption in that oscillation from one side to the other, so that we're able to see the force behind it. We're able to go beyond the flow of events in our lives. In other words, the Ajna Chakra, by balancing these two nadis and their activities, allows us to transcend the activities of our own mind and body and get access to the deeper recesses of the mind. The practices that help us to do that are things like Nadi Shodhanam, the alternate nostril breathing practice, which focuses on the breath alternating from one side of the nose to the other. And it turns out that these two nadis that we've mentioned, the Ida and Pingala, the sun and the moon, connect or meet at the Ajna Chakra. And they are related to the flow of the breath. The flow of breath reflects the dominance or the inactivity of those nadis. So the flow of the breath in the nostrils is an indication of how those nadis are at work. And by controlling the breath in the nostrils, we're able to influence the activity of the energy in those nadis, and therefore the state of mind and the nervous system. So this is how we bring balance to the nervous system, but it's also how we quiet the mind and give ourselves the opportunity to move more deeply. So there's a quieting of the whole system by working with this practice. Meditation, of course, is the other practice. That kind of finding your stepping into the deeper recesses of the mind with a meditation process is easily done through the Ajna Chakra. So many of our more subtle yoga practices use this center. If the energy is deficient at this center, the mind is sluggish or dull, or thinking is very rigid, there's a lack of imagination, there's no capacity for accessing the total realms of the mind. If it's excessive, we have trouble concentrating, that might sound familiar, unable to keep the mind directed or focused in some way, kind of runs madly. And excessive could be lack of training as well, but that rolling of the mind from one thing to the other is a lot of mental energy without direction. More serious excesses may result in more serious mental problems, things like hallucinations or delusions, or somehow disconnected from the reality of the physical world and the information the senses brings to us. So the serious imbalances at this level would be more serious mental disorders that involve the mind and the brain. And when we're balanced and the center is active and conscious and trained, we become intuitive and able to know beyond what is merely in front of us through the senses or based on our memory or experience or habit, but rather an intuitive awakening. That's the mind connected to the collective mind or the collective consciousness. Also perceptive and understanding what is being perceived. All those are functions of this center as well. In the ancient scriptures, the one whose third eye, and this is what the Ajna Chakra is, really the third eye, is open, is called a seer, meaning they see the past, the future, the reality behind what's immediately apparent in the physical world. So when you see pictures of deities, you often see an eye right here. Sometimes it's, it's rotated, and so it's not like this, but rather like this, meaning that they have intuitive insight, vision, and wisdom, spiritual wisdom.